What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Rebel Radio. Today's guest is Ryan Babenzien, CEO of Greats Brand Shoes. If you're not familiar with Greats, check them out at greats.com or find them on Instagram or Twitter. They are they're really reinventing the sneaker business by selling shoes direct to you instead of going through retail stores. That means all the money that you pay normally that goes to the retailer stays in your pocket and you get a fresh pair of shoes at the right price. Ryan's an old friend of mine and an experienced marketer in the streetwear business. He's going to break down his journey, how he got to Greats, and what he's trying to do there, and teach us some lessons along the way. I hope you enjoy it. Before we get into that, we're going to talk to Ryan Babenzien from Greats.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Yo! We know that's not how we do it.
That's how you start?
No, he does it different all the time.
It's always different.
It's over how he's feeling.
Right, let me get caffeinated up.
Caffeine up.
If that happens,
And then we cut the intro
I'm gonna have to
afterwards,
hear
so
it
don't be
later.
worried.
Dude, I'm so not worried.
Don't be worried that the intro sucks and this whole thing's been a huge
Who does your
waste of time.
intro music?
Well, so we... Sometimes I pick a song.
I'm going to question you.
yeah, do it.
That's it. I won't answer it. Sometimes I pick a song that I feel best fits
Oh, the
the
guest.
vibe of the guest.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That'll be
Let
interesting.
me see what that
I'm not even going to ask
Or like
for
Shania
for
Twain or something.
Shania
And
Twain,
then-
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I like straw in my teeth and cowboy boots is my and booty shorts. Like that's my thing.
Ryan is wearing booty shorts if you're...
Yeah.
If
If
you're
you had TV, this would be a blow up shot.
That's right.
It'd be
But then
blowing up.
we have a deal with edm.com,
Yep.
which is the world's largest curator of all things electronic dance music and beyond.
There's a draw.
They have hip-hop channels. They have...
That was a perfect drop.
that was
by
a drop, right?
the way. It's well integrated.
Exactly. So they give us a track of the week that we promote. Sometimes we start with that. Sometimes we cut that in later.
I could fuck with EDM, I guess.
Yeah, but it's
No,
not
it's
all.
good.
It's
It's good
like
stuff.
it's a good mix. There's
Yeah,
like
there's
some chill
hip-hop.
stuff, some hip hop, some
We'll do a
whatever.
little hip hop one.
It's
for
an
you.
electronic state of mind, if
I'm
you will.
in. I'm in.
All right.
Sign me up. Original Portishead.
Welcome to Rebel Radio.
Portishead.
Our guest today is Ryan Babenzien, CEO of Greats Brand. Shoes that I'm wearing that you can't
Whoa.
Can't see.
Look at that flex.
I'm rocking my Royales today.
You've been doing yoga.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I see that.
daily yoga. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thanks
Good
for
morning.
coming in all the way from Williamsburg.
Yeah. To the rain
Yeah.
and
That's right.
humidity
Yeah,
in,
it's
in
hot.
LA.
Crazy, right?
So I haven't been back in 2 years.
I can't believe
Literally,
that.
it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Since I
Welcome.
moved,
You haven't come back at all.
not once.
Wow.
And I don't think it's rained in 2 years
No,
until
that's our
yesterday.
first
Right.
rain.
So I was like, oh, wow, maybe I should do this rain dance trip
Exactly.
every quarter.
Exactly.
Give you
we
guys
need
some
it.
love.
How
That
did
was
it
good
feel?
rain yesterday.
Yeah.
It was real.
It was like
Yeah. It was
strong and
nice. It
warm
was
and-
like turn on a movie.
You-
Except Josh was over, so I couldn't do that.
You were over. the
Yeah,
house?
working.
Yeah.
What's
We had to
all-
prepare for this interview, man. It was
Oh, yeah,
heavy,
big
heavy research.
Just talking shit about
Absolutely.
you.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Please.
We were digging into all kind of forensics.
Yeah, that could get
Yeah.
ugly. That could get. Let's keep this in the middle.
So tell us about Greats, man.
Oh,
the
man.
shoes are dope. Very, classic styles, from what I can tell. Seems to be the vibe with better materials.
Yep.
And I know you guys are upending the traditional shoe business.
We're
with,
trying.
selling direct to consumers.
Yep.
What's wrong with the traditional shoe business?
It's inefficient.
Okay.
Very. And so inefficient. You know, it's inefficient and the customer pays for the inefficiency. They just don't really know it. So you have all the legacy brands that will make a product and not just footwear, this is everywhere. And they'll sell it to a wholesale price, and then that wholesale / retailer marks it up anywhere between 2.5 to 5x. In our business, it can go to 10x if it's a luxury fashion brand.
Sure.
And we're not
my $900 sneakers didn't cost
definitely
$900.
not. Definitely not. They probably didn't even cost $100.
It's crazy.
And like the model has been around now. Like Warby's pioneered it. Everlane's doing a great job. There's people in different verticals that have done this direct to consumer business, and the internet made that possible.
Yeah.
Right? Because the internet gave ultimate scale and distribution to customers. That doesn't mean it's easy to reach them, but it's available if you can find the right mix. I think the key thing about all of it is the ones that are successful at it, making product and selling it online doesn't make you a brand. But in order to sell lots of things, you have to become a brand because that's what sets everything apart.
So
what makes you a brand?
hey, that's my question.
You go.
Well, there's a lot of components that make up a brand.
Well, but talk about for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Well, when we talk about our brand, we talk about three things repetitively. Like, I'm fucking Rain Man because I say it over and over and over. Style, quality, value. Those are the attributes around Greats.
Okay.
They go into everything we do, whether it's our accessible price at $49 or if it's a really expensive collaboration at $400. Creating aspiration around value, magic. Never done before, actually. Like, accessible aspiration does not exist in the market yet, or we are actually pushing to do it, and I think we are doing it. But that's not something that you would see normally.
Yeah, I mean, typically when we think of, especially fashion marketing, but luxury in general, right? Like, price is one of the things that you use to communicate the value of a product, right? Like, so we believe the $500 sneakers are better than the $100 sneakers, partly just because they cost $500.
Right.
That's right.
And so you guys are contradicting that.
Yeah, we're saying we're educating that we'll make the same exact quality shoe in Italy using the best leathers and suedes from Italy and the same sole as all the luxury guys and even the same factories in many instances. But by not wholesaling it, we're able to sell it at a much lower price, right? So we have to communicate that because the initial perception of a customer is, well, their shoe's only $159. Right. It can't be as good as the $400 version from Barneys.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, it is just as good and many times better. We don't take shots at other brands like we're better. We just say, here are the like I would like to put my shoes up against everybody on a table and cut them all in half and show you why they're all of the same quality.
Yeah.
Now you might want brand X because you want that brand on your back because it says something else about you.
Sure.
But if you want to buy high quality stuff at a value price in the footwear business, we offer it.
So follow that a little bit. What does Greats say about you if they're on your feet?
Yeah.
Beyond that, you understand the value, right? You understand not
so,
overpaying for value.
I mean, look, we've been really, really, really fortunate to be seen on the feet of the most stylish people in the world, right? So we start there, top of pyramid. Just yesterday, we were in Bill Cunningham's section of the New York Times.
Nice.
This is the legend. He's the original street style.
Fashion.
He's been doing it for 50 years. Excuse me. And he covered New York Men's Fashion Week last week. And we are coming out with a new style. It's basically a sandal type shoe.
Oh, I saw it.
And Nick Wooster wore it to a show
Wooster.
on Tuesday. And it was covered by everybody. Like, it literally, we got calls from every editor the next day. Like, I need that for my next
That's
shoot.
crazy.
So we're a style brand. That's what we are. We're not a fashion brand. We don't talk about ourselves as a fashion brand. We understand why fashion talks about us and what we make things that live in the fashion world. But we're a style brand. We don't do runway shows. We don't do sales calls. We don't do any of that shit. We make what we think is relevant for the market. Buy now, wear now. We're ahead of everybody in terms of what we get in, how we get it in, because we don't have to wait for the retailers to buy it a year out. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
So moving to Brooklyn was obviously strategic.
Oh, man.
So, but you mentioned that Brooklyn embodied like greats more so than Los Angeles. Why?
Originally, it wasn't necessarily Brooklyn. It was New York. I just felt like starting a sneaker brand belonged in New York because the entire editorial business is there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that was like the first, we're going to New York.
Yeah.
Right.
Along the way, like literally, like immediately, I was doing all this research and I learned that no men's sneaker brand ever came out of Brooklyn.
That's crazy.
And then the third was like how influential Williamsburg, specifically
Right.
Williamsburg, was becoming for fashion around the world.
Right.
Like it's a global
I love it. So,
fashion curation center at this point. Like everybody in the world that goes to New York goes out to Williamsburg to check it out.
yeah.
Those three things just aligned. That was just dumb luck.
Right. Right place,
Like,
right time.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, hashtag born in Brooklyn. That's like our key, like one of the ones we use all the time. And it's become so powerful that Le Bon Marché from Paris, like oldest retailer, like the best retailer in the world.
Yeah.
They get an award every year for being the best store in the world. They do this like store takeover every year. Last year it was about Tokyo. This year it's about Williamsburg.
Nice.
And we're going to be in it. Like, so
Nice.
we're a brand that doesn't sell the stores.
Yeah.
We're in the best retailer in the world as a pop-up. But, like, you know, that's a big deal. For a
Right.
year-and-a-half-old company to kind of have that influence in the space, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
What are... Sorry.
Go ahead.
Did I cut you off there?
No, I'm gonna go get a coffee.
All right, bye.
We don't need Thanks
No,
for
I was
coming.
just going to say, what are some of the challenges? Not, you know, I did read that people can't actually try on your shoe, but that you had them featured at some stores for you to try. Are you still doing that?
We just did a pop-up at Stephen Allen in East Hampton. We haven't done a lot of what you're saying.
Right.
When we first launched, we had 2 stores where you could walk in, try it, touch it, and then you would buy it online. And
Right.
there was a Union here in Los Angeles, and shit, man, it feels so long ago. What was the other one? It'll come back to me.
Right.
High Point Sneakers in Arizona.
How important is that now? I mean, you know, we used to buying shit on Zappos
Right.
or
So I think it's important for a certain generation, right? Okay, simple numbers. The majority of the market still buys things in stores.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Stores are not going to go away.
except books.
They're going to be, except for books, they're going to be part of the shopping experience. We offer free shipping returns. We don't even offer free shipping. We offer returns for free. So it's pretty risk-free. Like, try it on. If it doesn't fit, send it back. We'll send you the right size.
Yeah.
The millennial customer base that we serve, and we're 100% millennial at this point, that's kind of what they grew up on.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know anything. They kind of don't really know much different. Like, that's just what they expect. So they have no problem.
Right.
Older customers, beyond 45.
Careful.
Hey, man, I'm in the same group, right? Those guys, outside of the coast, they shop in stores.
Yeah.
That's where they go.
Right.
So there would be resistance for us to own that market as quickly as we are in the millennial space. But frankly, we're in the youth business.
Yeah.
That's what sneakers are.
How much are you selling off the coasts?
Northeast is about 40%. California as a state is another 40%, and the rest is across the rest. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, like, we're nascent. It's tiny.
Yeah, of course. Sure.
Everybody over here, like the fact that I walked in here this morning and there was a kid in the coffee shop wearing one of
Yeah,
our
that's
shoes.
wild.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But we're in Hollywood. We're in Los Angeles. That's not going to happen in fucking Peoria.
Right.
You know, like, they're like, who the fuck is Greats? They never heard of us. Even though we get covered in every single
Of course. Yeah.
sneaker blog, fashion blog, New York Times. That's a very specific type of customer that we are
Right.
happy to live with for now. And then as you scale, you just go after more customers.
Yeah. Well, what I love about that story you were saying earlier, that you saw the guy across the street wearing your shoes, and then he recognized you. And I
which
mean,
is weird for me.
well, that's interesting because you're a business guy. You're not like your partner John is the creative, right?
No longer.
Oh,
That's okay. We
tell
can
us
edit
about
that
that.
part.
Yeah, that's
You
fine.
John hasn't been involved since last March.
Oh, I didn't know.
Totally amicable.
Yeah.
He wanted to do Buscemi, and he didn't want to move to New York. So we're like, okay, no harm, no foul. We're just gonna.
Right.
It was really that simple.
So he's just doing his line.
He just does Buscemi.
So who designs?
We have a designer,
Okay.
Salehi Benbury. We kind of he designed the Cole Haan Lunar, which is probably the most successful shoe Cole Haan's done in 2 decades.
Yeah.
Born in Tribeca, sneaker dude. He's our designer.
Cool.
But we're so small that like we kind of all design.
Yeah.
I
Like
get it.
everybody has
Sure.
a hand in naming colors. Like we're just a collaborative
Sure.
unit at this point.
But my point is, so you didn't get into this to necessarily be the face of the brand,
No, definitely.
but
not.
yet, but you kind of become that, right? And part of it is I think the social.
Well, when we launched, then we had there was 2 roles. Like John was meant to be the face,
Right.
and he's good at that, and he loves that.
Yeah.
And I was going to be the face on the business side. So like,
Yeah.
there was a convention going on about marketing. I
That's
go.
you.
If there's a sneaker thing, John goes. If
Right.
there's that's how we were going to divide and conquer. Now I do them both.
Sure.
So
So how does that feel for you? Like what's?
it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not my thing. I'm a really private guy, but I'll do it because it's good for the company, it's good for the business, it's good for the brand, and
Yeah.
you do it. But it's really not my natural goal
get it.
to
Yeah.
be like recognized. And it is weird. Like we're super small, so when I get recognized, it's fucked up. Like I get recognized now in Williamsburg, like, hey, great guy, like
Yeah.
that. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
That's interesting too with shoes, I think, because for a lot of apparel, we sort of associate with the person, with Ralph Lauren or Diane von
They're like the
Furstenberg, right?
designer.
Like, whereas typically shoe brands we don't know who designs Nike and Adidas, unless you're really
Yep.
into that. Sneakerheads might know some of
Yep.
the names, but your average consumer doesn't know who's designing their sneakers.
No, and I think that's just a label brand position.
Yeah.
I think people know who the founder of Nike is,
Sure.
right? And
Yeah.
the founder of, they might not recognize him, but they've heard his name before.
Right.
And that's just the role you take.
Yeah. of
Being
course.
recognized walking down the street, like that's different for
Yeah,
me, but
absolutely.
it's part of the game.
Yeah. What about, to me, even the idea of an upstart sneaker brand.
I liked how you flipped that, not startup.
Well, but I think we're used to a couple guys starting a T-shirt line out of the house or whatever, and that turns into something. Even maybe jeans, a little bit more. Sneakers seem like, just hard to make,
It's a different commitment.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
the sizes, they
Yeah.
got to perform in a different
It's
way.
a very complex.
Yeah.
And so
There-
I think that speaks a lot to just how technology and sourcing and things like that are evolving, that you can even do this.
Well, we had a bit of a background in this, so it's not like we were like 4 business school guys that were like,
Right.
hey
Of
man,
course.
let's go make this.
Right.
Because
Right.
there's a huge barrier in all of fashion. I think the barrier to entry for a product is the highest in footwear because it's complex.
Right.
There's lots of sizes. There's last making. There's a lot that goes into that whole thing. Making a T-shirt, people start T-shirt brands every day. They buy blanks. They silk screen it
Yeah.
downtown. You don't have to leave LA.
Right.
Jeans, khakis, all that shit.
Right.
So that's why you don't see a lot of sneaker brands starting up like this, or
Right.
at least not ones that are succeeding. Like some guy with a dream might have made 4 samples, but it doesn't mean he's created a company yet.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, we had a head start there.
Yeah.
We
When-
had years of experience.
When
before.
did you guys know it was going to be successful? Like, when was that moment?
We launched in beta August 6, 2013. We sold a shoe every 90 seconds for 7 hours straight on average.
Nice.
That's what we knew.
Right.
We're like, holy shit.
And how did that happen?
that's cool.
What did you guys do?
I mean, it was a combination of things, but like, again, we're building a brand, and that's what we talk about, and that's what we do, and brand creates emotion. So we thought we had positioned the brand well at launch, and what that meant was we had 10,000 followers on Instagram before we launched. We had every single fashion press story at launch. We created 2 really nice styles. That's important, obviously. Like what you make leads that. So, and all of that came together in a perfect storm. And we were able to do that without spending any. We didn't spend $1 on marketing for almost a year, not 1 cent.
That's crazy.
And people don't believe that. Like, when we've raised money now in the venture community, and we'll show the presentation, and they'll ask like, well, how much did you spend on marketing to get that revenue? And we're like, 0.
So
they don't believe it.
Yeah, sure.
So did people follow you because, or follow Greats because of the product, or do you feel like because of your background with Joe? And
You're saying at the beginning.
yeah, at the beginning.
So I think that the sneaker culture is the most difficult culture to market to. I don't think you can market to them. You have to be part of their community. John and I were part of the community.
Right.
We both worked at sneaker companies. John had founded one before. We understood the space, and we were invited in.
Yeah.
So there's 2 barriers to entry to footwear. One, it's just hard to make. And 2, if you're going to get into the sneaker game, you can't buy your way in. You just can't. You have to kind of have the invitation to play there. And we did. And like, those are the guys that like became customer number 1, and they're still customers now. Those guys are the most influential in their social circle. They buy a disproportionate amount of things for style. Like, they spend a lot of money on style, not just footwear, but just stuff. And that's, that's an invitation. That's not a strategic manipulation. You can't
No,
do it.
you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, I want to talk about, you're talking about style a little bit. One of the things I love on your Instagram is that there's a lot of stuff that's not shoes.
Yes.
And
I brought presents.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know there was 3 people, but
Cool.
sorry, I'm like fucking up the show here.
Dope. That's
No,
all right.
that's all right. We love presents.
That's dope.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, this is the one. So I was actually I used this in a presentation last week
Thank you.
because I was showing a
so cute.
potential client how to talk about stuff of interest to your consumer that's not shoving your brand down their throats. And I showed an example from the Morning Wood post, which they like the name. But you guys do every morning a post on Instagram.
Put up Morning Wood every day.
Absolutely. and it's some like really dope piece of wood. I don't know
Yeah.
how else
It's
to
a
describe
play
it, right?
on
But
a,
it's
a
something,
play on an idea.
Yeah, but it's something sculpted out of wood. But it's also like, so the name's clever, but beyond that, like it's a piece of design that speaks to your aesthetic.
Yep.
Right. And then you do that, I see cars and motorcycles in there. I see, other stuff, content that's not about shoes. So and is that you making those decisions?
Well, we have somebody now that does our social feeds, but yeah, like we set the tone of what. Yeah, for the first 4 months, we were doing Instagram by ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Before pre-launch, like, and the concept was like the things that influence us in our own personal life and how we're going to approach design. And we always said, like, selling shoes, the best way to sell shoes is to not sell shoes, right? Like, just posting a picture of a shoe every day, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. And I
Yeah.
own a shoe brand. Like, I don't want to see that shit. I want to see the depth behind it.
Right.
And that's our strategy. We're at 70,000 followers now on Instagram alone. Our total social reach is like almost 400,000 across various channels. And like we post a shoe maybe 20% of the time.
Yeah, that's smart.
And that's
I mean, that's like the right ratio too.
I
So-
think so. Yeah.
So talk, before this, you were a corporate guy. So when we met, you were at Puma,
Yep.
doing entertainment marketing, right?
Yep.
And then K-Swiss.
Yep.
And then, so for guys like that, not to pick on those companies.
No, fuck those
but-
guys.
Okay, good. Let's talk about them. But so
No, I have a lot of friends at all those companies.
yeah,
so.
absolutely. My point is, for companies like that, that's really hard to wrap their heads around. That we're going to talk about all this shit that we can't make money,
Right.
right? That you want me to post a picture of wood, like how is that?
Yeah.
They'll talk about like the product as the hero. They'll talk
Yep.
about merchandising.
I mean, we have hero shots too, right? Of
Right.
course.
But 20% of it.
You're exactly right, and that's why working in those environments, we realized the opportunity. The only way it was going to work is if we started something new. Legacy brands can't adapt that way. Like Nike's the best sneaker brand in the world. They're the best marketing company in the world. Let's say that. That's more accurate.
Sure.
They can't immediately change their marketing tactics because the world shifted in front of them, which it has, right? Like millennials, they just behave different. They want to see different things. That doesn't mean that Nike can start posting pictures like we do of like beautiful women and cars. They just could never do that because they have for 30, 40 years, they've just talked about like their sport position, and they still do. And that's their position, and it works for them.
Yeah.
So tell us why they're the best in the world.
The best marketing company in the world? Because the intrinsic value of a sneaker is the same. Technology, sure. They spend a ton of money on R&D. But it's our belief that people buy Flyknits because they look cool, not to run in.
Sure.
It's not a good running shoe.
Right.
I don't see any run. I run. My brother
Yeah.
runs. Like nobody I know
Yeah.
runs in one, but they look dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
KD's, great basketball shoe. 99% of them, that's an exaggeration. 90% of them never make it on a basketball court.
Of course.
They're worn for style, and that's how good they are at marketing. They will build this technology story, but people are really buying it for something else. They bought into this belief that they're gonna fucking backwards dunk 360 and shit.
Right.
But they're never even gonna play basketball on them.
Right.
That's pretty good marketing.
Yeah. But makes you walk a little taller or whatever it is.
Creates an emotion. They're
Absolutely.
a great brand.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
the vote is in there.
So what lessons did you take from Puma, K-Swiss, from your corporate background to this brand?
I mean, there's a lot, but I learned that legacy brands will have trouble optimizing the world we live in today. And they are, right? They're just having trouble.
Yeah.
Some are better at managing it than others, but like, I didn't want to be part of that. And I felt like there was a better way. So we're just we're going to do it our way. And that's, I think in today's world, sneakers or other, to build a brand, there's no other way to do it than this way, vertical. Because if you wholesale your business, like the myth is this: I start a fashion company or a clothing company, my goal is to get Barneys to buy it.
Right.
Okay, I get them to buy it in the second season, then I got to figure out how to produce all that stuff. Then I have to deliver it on time, and if I don't deliver it on time, they penalize me. And then if it doesn't sell through, they charge me back. And like, that's the world of wholesaling. That's why most brands fail in fashion. They just can't survive. They're usually undercapitalized. They don't have the cash flow to like get through the cycle to build the brand part of it. They're just chasing this like, oh, Barneys is buying, and it's an expensive process.
Right.
Take all that out. Focus on the brand part, like just the brand part. Create ambassadors, like people that buy 4 pairs and tell their friends and keep going. Then you have some control. If you want to then sell the Barneys, you can do it on different terms, right? You go, hey, we'll let you have our stuff.
Sure.
That's how you build a brand. The irony of all of that is we've been approached by every major retailer in the world. Every single one. Name top to bottom.
Yeah.
From Selfridges in London to, I mean, we're on Mr. Porter. We have a very nice partnership with Mr. Porter. It's super successful. It's new, but the sell-through there was crazy. And they're the best in the world at luxury e-com. So like it makes sense for us to be on that one.
Right.
And doing these partnerships in different tiers is something we'll do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not relying on them to drive our revenue. It's a difference.
That feels like it takes a level of confidence.
Insanity is probably closer to the.
Okay. But, look, we've known each other probably coming up on 10 years.
Yep.
From the first time we met, you struck me as really confident. Like that comes out of you.
Okay, thanks.
Like it or not, but that's, but I think you have to have that to take this approach because the whole world is telling you the way you do it is over here. And then you're saying, yeah, but I'm going to go over here.
Yeah.
Without question, starting anything takes confidence. Like you'll fail if you don't have confidence. You shouldn't be arrogantly confident. You should be well informed on what you're going to do and then go do it. But don't buy into the norm because most people just want to follow, right? And
Yeah.
that's the world. That's just the
Yeah,
world.
it's easy.
The world is made up of like people that do crazy shit and fucking you're like, oh my God, that dude is amazing. And then there's everybody else. There's very few of the first kind, right? Yeah, I'm confident, but I'm confident with logic. Like it's not like some crazy idea that I have that we think we can be a great footwear brand and not have to worry about retailers. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a really logical approach we're taking, and it seems to be working. So,
Yeah.
Was it always a dream to do this? That sounds like a kid question.
Aw.
Was it your dream?
I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur in my head, and like even when I worked at big companies, I approached it with an entrepreneurial way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say my dream was to start a sneaker brand, but I definitely knew that I was going to start something. It's just this is the one that made the most sense at the right time, and life, like all of that kind of aligned.
Right.
But I didn't sit around when I was 10 years old saying I'm going to start a sneaker company.
Right.
So, and before this, in between leaving corporate and this, right, you were involved with Boast.
Yeah. Which I thought is where I would be for 10 years.
Yeah.
That was just it just wasn't it wasn't gonna work the way I needed it to work for me to do what I do, right? And that it just came down to that. So I started thinking about what am I going to do.
So was that what was the lesson there that you took then into the next thing?
Do my own thing.
Okay.
I can't. I had total control. I was a CEO of CEO of the company. It's not like I had some board to answer to, but it was funded by somebody who didn't really understand the vision that I had to do it, and wasn't going to be able to really get behind it. And it was his capital.
Right.
I don't want to like take your money to do what you don't believe in.
Right.
Right.
So how did you take that and approach it to Greats?
Well, I just realized like I need to have my own like 100% total control over what I want to do. Because if I don't, there's a really good chance it won't work. Because most people are like timid on a lot of things, right? So they buy into the one part of the idea, but they want you to go, oh, well, why don't we just open 20 stores? Like, let's just do it. It'll be great. Like, no, you're missing the point. Like, that's not what we're going to do. So I just learned that I needed to have my own company.
Right.
That's what I learned from that last little. It was only a year, but it was a really valuable.
Yeah.
Really valuable year.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so important. I know you've talked in some interviews about kind of leveraging your experiences, right? That you have, you sort of, it's this idea that you kind of build your arsenal along the way.
Yeah, I think over time, like you start to build like your specialty, and if your specialty aligns with starting a business, that's the best way to do it, right? Like I wouldn't start, a dress business. What the fuck do I know about making dresses or marketing dresses or how it fits on women? Like I don't know anything about that.
Sure.
So this one was like, oh, I know a lot about this.
Right.
Yeah.
And the timing of this is perfect. That's great. Like, let's do it.
Was it scary?
Scary every day. It's scary right now. I mean, really. There's a saying in the startup world where like being the founder CEO of a startup is the loneliest job in the world.
Yeah.
And it's totally true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally true. We have
So
a
how do you get
great-
through that?
I mean, you just do it because like I truly believe in this, like I believe we're creating one of the best brands that will be around for 20, 40
Boom.
years type things. And
Yeah.
like, that's why I'm doing it. So I just think about like that,
Right.
not like the fact that somebody quit today.
Right. Well, but
That's
what's
just part of the game.
But what's
Sure.
what's awesome, I mean, I think just from watching how the community is active and growing, that part of what's fueling that is you're getting a lot of love from all these like
Yeah, it's easy to feel good when you're getting support.
yeah, like
right?
the
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a ton of repeat buyers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which is
that
a
must feel good.
that's
Yeah.
something we measure like. There's two things we measure obsessively and that are critical.
We said we weren't going to talk about metrics.
We're not
But we are now.
customer satisfaction
Okay.
and repeat business.
Yeah.
How do you know? How do you know?
Well, we measure them by metrics, but you don't want to talk about that.
Well, but so I'm just kidding. So, but how do you know if you have satisfied customer?
So there's two scores that the internet e-com world, and it's called an NPS score,
Yeah.
Net Promoter Score. So Nike has a 24. Zappos has a 69. Apple has a 71. We have a 77. So it's
Nice.
like off the chart. Customers are really satisfied once they become one. And the other one is, and this is not as common, we use Zendesk as a customer retention tool. We have a 96. It's almost perfect for 9 months. So we know that customers are super happy when they become customers. The hard part is, how do you go from 20,000 customers to 200,000 customers
Right.
to 2 million customers
Right.
and maintain that level
Yeah,
of
sure.
satisfaction? That is super hard.
What's the answer?
I don't know yet. I'll tell you when I get there.
So
Well, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say how does the community, I mean, obviously when you see people posting photos and that's awesome, but how does the community actually impact your business?
I mean, they influence it every day, right? So, like, for every guy that says, I love greats, there's another one that says, fuck you, my shit is late. And he's vocal, like, everywhere.
Probably more vocal.
Way more.
Yeah.
Twitter,
Of course.
Pinterest,
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram, email. We go above and beyond to satisfy customers, even when they're wrong. And believe me, most of the time, like
Yeah, of course.
technically, they're wrong.
Right.
They're just wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we'll stand behind our quality without question. If something's wrong with the shoe, we'll give you a new one. If you can't show me, like, well, I don't like the way this one fits, there's a piece of thread that I can't show you in a picture, but I know it's there. Like, those kind of guys who exist,
Yeah.
we still replace it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
Um,
So it's a little bit of Zappos philosophy, right? In terms of super serving the customer and really
Delivering
just,
happiness.
like, delivering happiness, but being
yeah.
like
and
way over
I
what's
met
necessary.
Tony Shea years ago, and I went to like his.
Yep.
He did a private. When he wrote his book, he did like a private thing at CAA, and I was invited. It was great, right? Definitely gleaned some knowledge out of that. We don't like. Here's an example of how committed we are. So, we have an international customer base that we know exists, but we don't sell there. We don't sell internationally. Not because we can't, because it doesn't provide the value we want. Because if you're going to pay $40 for a shoe and then spend
Right.
$40 to ship it,
Yeah.
go buy another shoe in your local market. Like, buy another brand.
Right.
When we get there, like, locally, then we'll be able to sell that shoe at the same price. We'll have a distribution.
Do you communicate that?
We do. When
Because
people
that's wild,
complain,
because people love, I'm sure I would be like, but I want the shoe.
We get it every day. I mean, hundreds of times a day. But that's how committed we are.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that's
feel like I would do you a disservice, like selling it to you, because I
Right.
can't give you the value that I need to feel good about my
Right.
brand. So we just don't do it.
Right.
We
Yeah.
could 3x our revenue in a week
Mm-hmm.
if I sold to Asia and England and Australia and all the countries that complain basically every day.
Right.
But that's how committed we are.
Right.
It doesn't sound like customer service, but it is. It's
No, I think
counterintuitive,
so.
but
I
we're
think-
just like, look, we're not ready for you yet.
Well, I think it speaks to a really interesting idea that, I mean, we talk about this all the time, that what our clients want is leadership. They want someone to say, hey, we got this.
Yeah.
Right? And we know stuff you don't know. We're going to help you through this. And I think that's kind of what you're saying, right? Is like, you know, we got to do what we know is going to be best for the customer, even if that's not what they're asking us for.
Yeah.
Right? But it's taking that stance and, you know, taking money out of your own pocket to make sure that it goes down the way that it needs to go down.
Yeah. And we'll get there. Like, believe me, we want to get there. One of the big learnings in the last year was like, we'll get to international markets before we thought.
Right.
Because in last year in Hong Kong, almost immediately, like within weeks, we launched a shoe, the Bab. It came out in June. And weeks later, it's being resold in Hong Kong
Yeah, I read that.
for 50%, 80% more.
Yeah.
That is now happening in mainland China, Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As a brand builder, that's magic. You just couldn't strategically go after that where you have a secondary market where people pay more than retail. But it proved to us that we've impacted a culture, so we have to get there and give them, because the guy now is buying it for more than we sell it for.
Right.
So like that's not good either.
Right.
Like on the one side.
Yeah.
So we'll get there.
Although in sneakers, that's pretty common, right? That, you know,
It
the
happens.
resale market for sneakers is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's something unique about the sneaker space for sure, but you want to. It's all we have now for Asia. Like you can't go and buy our stuff unless
Yeah.
you pay more for it. And
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah. You know, you talk a little bit about chaos as kind of part of your job.
Chaos efficiency officer.
So, and I get it, you know, starting.
Yeah, you know, you're the same.
Absolutely.
You're in the same boat.
So how does that? I'm asking you to kind of go into the future a little bit, but you know, how does that scale? You know, as you go from 20,000 to 200,000, et cetera. You know, how do you scale your ability to manage the chaos?
I mean, you build a team, like so that you can't do it yourself, right? Like we couldn't be a team of 9 people and get to 200,000 people and customers. It wouldn't work. So you build a team. You build the best team you can. You want to mitigate risk across all the channels within the company, and you have to hire great people. Like that's the only way. We're at that point now. Like we're looking for some key roles that if we don't hire in the next 4 to 6 months, like things are going to start to break. That's just the way it is.
Right.
And then with that team, you hope that the chaos management starts to shift.
Right.
Like it's not all about me. Like
Yeah.
each person has their own level
Right.
of chaos management.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my plan.
So if you meet Ryan on the street and you're making him super uncomfortable, ask him for a job.
Hey,
That's the lesson here.
you know, we've got, of the 9, 4 of them got jobs that way.
Is that right?
That's right.
Nice.
I mean, they didn't stop me on the street. They
Yeah.
emailed us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First hire we made, kid goes to Dartmouth, working in banking, you know, way smarter than me, for sure. And he just wrote the most passionate email I've ever seen. Like, I want to leave what I do and go work for this company.
Yeah.
Or go work for Grades.
Yeah.
He was hire number 1.
Yeah. People dig passion. You
Passion
know? Like,
wins, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Like, I give more credit to passion than where you went to school.
Well, that's the other thing the big companies miss, right?
Yeah. They
'Cause they
recruit out of the same pools.
Yeah. And they have their keyword searches that
Yep.
they look for certain skills and
Ironically, like we are well represented in the top. Like we have people from Cornell, Harvard, Dartmouth, Penn, Columbia.
You're right there in the heart of all that.
Yeah, but
How about University of Phoenix?
yeah.
Phoenix we do not have.
Gotta have goals.
we'll get there. No, in that I just said where you went to school doesn't matter
Yeah.
to us. It
Right.
doesn't. But we happen to have guys and girls that went to really great schools because they're passionate about joining young companies with a vision.
Right.
And they no longer want to go to work at Goldman
Right.
because that's just not where their interests
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. What's important to you when you're bringing this team on? And I guess that's the question. What's the most important thing to you? I mean, you said passion, but what else?
I mean, we look for really smart people, and smart comes in a lot of different ways. But if you just need to be able to figure shit out because we're moving fast.
Tenacity.
We're just moving fast, and I'm in California today. There's stuff going on in that office that they'll figure out because I'm not there, and
Right.
that's what you need.
Yeah.
What about, I mean, you got to sort of be a sneakerhead junkie to do this, or is
Definitely
it culture?
not.
Okay, so
No.
culture doesn't really.
I mean, it's helpful if you have an interest in sneakers, and I think everybody that works there definitely does. But they're not. They're not sneakerheads.
Right.
I don't think we have one sneakerhead actually. We have a couple of guys that had their sneakerhead moment, but
Yeah, sure.
nobody's
Yeah.
waiting in line somewhere
Right,
anymore.
right.
Like,
Yeah, of course.
that's what they're past
Well,
that.
now they have
Yeah.
a job.
Well, they're part of a company that will set the future tone of
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's cool.
that's what you want,
Yeah.
people that
Problem
had an
solvers.
interest, but now they're creating the market. I've actually talked to some of the guys that because they have jobs that are pretty high level exposure in New York, right? And I'm like, look, you shouldn't act like a fan anymore. You should act like an authority. Like you fucking designed this shoe. If I'm talking about a designer, I'm like, you designed it. You need to talk about why this shoe matters, and not, think about another designer at another brand and why you're a fan, you're a fanboy of him. You can respect somebody else's work,
Sure.
but you shouldn't be asking for autographs for,
Right.
peers like that. But when you're
Yeah.
22 years old,
That takes some.
it takes some growth. You're transitioning out of one role to the next, and we have a really young crew. These kids are the average age of the company is 26 years old.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
This is new stuff for them, but they're really smart guys, so they're all starting to take on the responsibility of the role.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about what else some of the big companies are doing wrong, right?
I don't want to tell them what they're doing wrong because then they might fix it.
They're not going to fix it.
It'll take them too long.
You just said they can't fix
Yeah.
it.
True.
But look, typically in the sneaker business, you need athletes. Right? You got to pay athletes a lot of money to wear your
Overpaid.
shoes. This year I think the big story is Kanye with Adidas.
Yep.
Which the CEO is talking about how much it's done for their brand.
Yep.
What's wrong with that?
Authenticity. Specifically Kanye. The dude wears Nike fucking almost exclusively for 20 years. Highest check payer, he goes to Adidas. The market knows that.
Right.
Did they sell some Yeezys? Yeah. Do I think it's going to move the needle across the board to save or change the trajectory of Adidas's overall business? I don't think so. Not from an ROI perspective. They paid him a lot of money.
Sure.
So in order to recoup that money, they have to do a tremendous revenue number to justify that spend. I don't think they'll get it.
Right. So what should have they have done?
Look, celebrities have always been overpaid for endorsement deals. I was
Yeah.
hated in Hollywood when I was at Puma because one, I used to be an agent, right? So I was on one side at one point, negotiating on behalf of actors. None of those deals ever worked out. It really didn't work out. Nobody really.
You mean for the brands?
No. Or even for the actor. Great, you got the actor a nice paycheck, but he didn't wear it enough. He wasn't really
Yeah.
into it, and it didn't help the brand. So you don't want to do those kind of deals just to bury a $500,000 check for a guy. Like that's not a good deal. So with Kanye and with all these kind of celebrities that have been paid to do endorsements for footwear brands, they never work.
Yeah.
Like when Jay-Z did a deal with Reebok, and Jay-Z is like the shit. Like this is he's as authentic as it gets, right?
Yeah.
One of the best in the game. The Sean Carter sneaker brand failed because in the real world, he wasn't wearing Reebok.
Right.
He was wearing something else. Justin Timberlake, at the time he launched his denim brand, he was like arguably one of the most influential people on the planet.
Yeah.
Like dudes wanted to hang out with him, girls wanted to fuck him.
Right.
Like, he was it. He couldn't make a denim brand work. It
Yeah.
failed.
Right.
Like it's really, really, really hard for celebrities to move the needle for a brand.
Right.
So the answer is smaller, more nimble, high relevancy works. Bloggers.
Right.
People
Within
that
the
are like
culture. Yeah.
in the mix more. Like that's what I think we need more of. That's what we do. It works for us. We're tiny. I get that.
Yeah.
But big exposure without authenticity is usually a waste of money. In my humble opinion.
So why do they keep doing it?
Because that's what they do. They work with bloggers, obviously, but they don't. Look, it's really, when you're a $1 billion revenue business, and that's small for a bigger player, like Nike's $40 billion. If you're a $1 billion sneaker brand, it's really hard to keep growing. It's just hard. Like I don't know what it's going to be like when I'm there. Maybe in 10 years I'm going to be having Brad Pitt. I don't know. I doubt it, but.
No, but you have celebrities who wear your stuff.
Yeah,
but it's
celebrities that
authentic.
wear them.
Right, but it's authentic because they
That's
like.
different.
Yeah.
You want everybody to wear them.
Right.
You just don't want to pay them $500,000 to do it.
Right.
Right.
That's totally different. Like we made custom shoes for Kevin Durant.
Right.
That's fantastic. We're not paying Kevin Durant.
Right.
As a
But
matter
it
of
was
fact, he gets fined from Nike
every time he
every
does
time he
it.
posts about it.
That's so funny.
Right?
It's like, guys,
You know,
just let
Tyson
the
Beckford's been
let the
rocking
world
our
be
stuff.
organic.
Mason Plumlee from the Nets, like, just stopped by the office the other day. Like, we have real high-profile people with tons of cash that want to wear grades. That is great. Like, that's really impactful. But we're not paying them.
Yeah, it's tough though. I
Yeah.
feel like it's tough for brands to like embrace that organic approach. I mean, they'd like to, but it's so slow. It's sort of, you can't always predict that these celebrities are gonna wear your stuff. You can only hope that they pick it up and that they do, and then other times you have to make it. You have to like create that.
I think it goes back to that lack of confidence we were saying, right? Like it's this idea that if I'm not paying you, then you're not doing exactly what I want you to do. So I want to give you money so I can control you.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And that's more of that mentality. Right? It's like the bigger check I write this guy, the more I feel like I'm in control of the situation, and I can get metrics that I can rely on. This tweet gets this many million impressions, etc. And it's kind of ignoring the way, what we're talking about is ignoring the way the world really works, which is that, consumers can see that stuff. They know. Doesn't necessarily make it bad, but it limits how much effect it has.
Yeah, and like, it's been done well. Like, it's not impossible. It's just most big brands get it wrong for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, we've seen it.
But the biggest thing they get wrong is connecting and taking that asset and actually optimizing it across the board. They'll do like one big press announcement in a trade with a post and then kind of sit back and think like they're done.
Right.
That's not, like, you have to like really drive over and over and over. You have to create more content. You have to be more present. And they're just not.
Right.
Because at big companies, there's agendas and departments, and they each have different budgets. And like, PR's like, fuck you, I don't want to work with marketing because whatever. Like, everybody's looking for credit. And like, they just have it's a tougher thing to do at a big organization. It's just hard.
That kind of goes into our the art of selling without selling out idea.
sure.
I mean, you talk, maybe selling out to you would be that, paying big guys to wear your brand when you
I don't even think that. I don't think it's selling out.
It's just a bad business move, right?
It just generally doesn't work out.
Right.
When it does, like, can we name one? What's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
endorsement?
That did work out?
Yeah.
Oh.
In fashion.
Shooties.
I think you just gave me my answer. You really have to think about it. I'm sure they're there, and I'm sure we
Alright.
could come up with
I
one.
mean, what's a good one? Jordan, Stan Smith,
I don't
You're
know.
talking about legacy
Chuck
brand.
Taylor.
You're literally
Like,
talking about things that
yeah,
are on the young end, 30 years
sure,
old,
right.
right? So
Yeah, I mean, and those guys were playing a different game, right?
it was a different world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, that's exactly why,
Mm-hmm.
to build a brand, we think you have to do it this way. Because back then,
Right.
it was
Maybe
a different
maybe
space.
some of the skate stuff, but again, it's like the first ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the skaters as much, but Nike's got their
Look,
guys.
okay, let's not get confused. Athlete endorsement deals work.
Yeah.
KD, Jordan, like big
Yeah.
marquee players, like those sell lots of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in and buying a big celebrity or athlete, like Skechers is doing. Who are they doing now? They got a boxer and a football
Oh, I don't
player.
even know, but that's so crazy.
And I'm like, holy
Who's gonna
shit.
wear that?
But I think Skechers is number 3 in market share in the country
That's
right now.
crazy.
So
Yeah,
they're
because they
huge.
dominate the low end, right? That's
But
Yeah.
they have no brand equity.
no.
So like
Yeah.
for Skechers, they don't care about any sense of cool or
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
brand equity.
Yeah, they just.
You know where I see Skechers?
Yeah.
My kid is 5,
Yeah.
so I see him on the playground, and
Your kid wears Vans, dude.
yeah, he wears Vans, Nikes.
You got a cool kid.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Adidas. We'll get him in greats when you make kids shoes. But and I'm strict. Like he wanted the little, not to pick on my son, but he wanted the little roller skate shoes with the
Oh, the
wheels that
Heelys?
light up. Yeah, and he wanted like some cartoon shoes or whatever, and I'm like, no, here's here's your choices.
No.
No, like your choices are Nike, Adidas, Converse,
Right.
Vans.
Wow.
You
Talk
know.
about dad being influenced.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
No,
like,
he'll appreciate that when he gets
He will.
older. He'll
You
be
wear
like, dude,
whatever
my dad
t-shirt
was
you
on his
want.
A
He
game.
will.
I don't care who's on your, Pokemon's on the T-shirt. It's all good.
Oh,
but
boy.
Sneakers,
Yeah.
like, that's my,
That's
Yeah.
your space.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
No, you can. I feel like sometimes I judge people by their shoe choices.
Well, I judge the parents when I see the kid in Skechers. That was my point. I'm like, okay, these guys,
Oh, yeah.
you can't play with them.
they just don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
No play dates with that kid unless we
Exactly.
update his parents' game.
That's right. Every athlete coming out has a deal, and you're 91st in line.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And like, and again, I think the more I think about this, like, the big brands just lack the connectivity departmentally, where like even if you have that great asset and
Yeah.
it should work, they like fuck it up internally. I did this thing last year. Sorry, Gap. The Gap. The Gap and who was it? Mashable.
Okay.
Do a digital kind of thing where they select 5 best-in-class startup type people. They photograph you in Gap stuff that you style with them, and they push it out as content, like meet the founder of this and see what he's wearing type
Right.
of thing. Okay. So I'm thinking, oh, this is a great piece of exposure for us. Like, I can style Gap stuff. Like, there's some cool shit. I would wear it. So, sure, let's do it. It launches, and the Gap didn't do anything.
Oh.
Like,
I see.
days go by. It's
Right.
sitting up on Mashable somewhere.
Yeah.
And they hadn't posted it anywhere. And I called the Gap guy. I'm like, hey, like, I'm happy to repost this stuff and
Yeah.
redo it, but I'm not going to do it before you do it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
you guys going to post it?
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, there's some things going on. I'm like, oh, okay. But like, you just spent $250,000 on
That's
this
crazy. Yeah.
partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't you think you should push it out?
Yeah, but that's part of the mentality, is right? It's thought of as a media buy, so we leave it to the media partner. That's their problem. They're already on to the next.
They were
thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
Which but then I would have never done it, right?
Sure.
Because like,
of course.
if you're not going to push it,
Yeah.
I'm not going to push it.
Yeah.
I didn't get paid to do it. I was just thought it was a cool idea, so
Mm-hmm.
we did it.
So do you ever think about the concept of selling out? And if so, like, what would that be for you? Where is there a line?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you do things that aren't true to your brand and aren't aligned with like the vision of a company, that you start to encroach on the selling out terminology. I don't think selling a lot of shoes is selling out.
Sure.
We want to be a
That's
big
the
brand.
game, right?
That's the game. That's the
Right.
business we're in. There's things we won't do though, like we actually say no more than we say yes.
Yeah,
So that
that's
was like
good.
a big thing for us. It's like I've been interviewed a few times, and they always ask you like, "Hey, what's the best business advice you were ever given?" I'm
Yeah,
like,
say
learn
no.
how to say no.
Yeah, no, that's really powerful. Yeah.
So, but the Gap again, it comes back in because when we launched, they flew us out 5 months later to San Francisco and offered us this crazy opportunity to work with them. It was actually Old Navy, not the Gap, but we said no, right? It was too early for us as a brand. We'd probably never do it, but that's neither here nor there. It was like, but it was a lot of money. That would have been selling out,
yeah.
right? If we just took that, because it was like, dude, we could invest that in our company.
Right,
That's like
right.
a fucking ton. It was like more than we had actually raised. It was crazy.
Right.
But we didn't because it was wrong for the business. It was wrong
Right.
for the brand. Yeah, those are hard decisions to make. We had an investor. This wasn't about selling out, but this is like back to that no thing. We had an investor that wanted to come in for a really, really big check. Huge. And this is a guy in our business, in the space, that's one of the best private equity CEOs in the fucking world. Guy's a wizard. They own they've gone through fashion brand. They've either bought or sold, lots of brands, He wanted us to do something with the business that we didn't feel was right at the time. So we said no. But like saying no to, when you're raising money and you're saying like, here's a guy that can literally 5x the capital raise in one check.
Yeah.
That was hard, man.
Yeah.
Like saying no to that shit is really hard. This is where the lonely part gets as a
why
CEO.
why did you have to say no?
Because it wasn't right for the business at the time.
Right.
He wanted us to be something we weren't.
Yeah.
And he wanted us to go in a direction that we shouldn't, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Right.
So the nice way of putting it is, he wasn't aligned with our vision for the company. And that's what it came down to.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people take the money.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, what?
That's
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, I think, probably when we were first coming up, there was sort of a stigma against just taking the money. Maybe not, but at least in my world. But that seems to have gone away. Like, meaning you would take the money, nobody would be mad at you for that. Your shit might fail, or it might turn into something that you no longer love, and you get pushed out, or you have to walk away. But you'd be forgiven for taking the check, right?
Yep.
I think there's no longer, if there ever was, like a societal pressure to sort of stay true. So it has to all come from you.
Yeah, but like I believe it would have helped us go in the direction of failure. So why would
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Societally, I would have been like, hey, I took a big check. I'm like, okay. But if the company failed because of it, then I made a mistake.
Right.
So that's why we just said no.
Yeah.
I mean, we protect this thing
Yeah.
pretty heavily. It's,
No,
it's
that's crazy,
Almost,
yeah.
it's obsessive, like for sure.
Yeah, I think
No,
Like,
yeah, I think that's what you need.
You
Right.
have to, because the world, this is hard no matter what.
Right.
The reason startups fail, like most of the time, is because of those simple little things that they just got wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're trying not to.
Yeah.
So what like do you have mentors that guide you through this? Like how do you guide yourself through that? I mean, it feels like saying no to money like that is probably hard to digest after you said no. And you're like, am I making the right decision? Am I like, this could change my life forever? Like, how do you guide yourself through that?
I work on instinct most of the time. Like I feel like I have one of my skills is like instinctually I get people and like I can call it just as it is. Like that's whether I'm right about that or not. That's the way I live, and it's worked so far.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, we have like pretty good. I have a good group of advisors officially like at the company, and we have investors that I would soundboard that off of, and like. You know, getting investors in is like a big deal, and you kind of want to align. You want investors that are going to be understanding of your vision. You don't want yes men, but you don't want people that are like totally on the other side. Either.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I went to our lead investor and I said, look, this is a situation. Like, here's what my instinct says.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because he has a right? He has a real
Sure, he's got
board
stakes.
right
Yeah.
to be like,
Right.
hey man, you need to take that money.
Yeah.
Right.
And he totally agreed with me. He's like, dude, fuck it. We'll get it. You don't
Right.
need it. Like, it's not, we'll just say no.
Right. So you have
Right.
to definitely find those guys that are
Yeah,
interested in brand building.
But he's not good because he said, do what you think is right. He's good that he understood why we wanted to say
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because when I'm wrong, he's like, dude, you're fucking wrong. Like, he says it that way too. He's like, hey, you need to recalibrate how you're looking at this because of the following reasons. And then he makes me realize, oh yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
What you know, we talked about some numbers where you'd like to be, but like, how do you know when you're
Never.
when you don't have to worry anymore.
How do you know when you don't? I mean, you always have to worry. I mean, we have revenue goals that
No,
are.
so
is
let me
that
ask
what
you,
you're-
like, how do you know when you've kind of reached the goal?
there's no end goal, man.
Okay.
There just isn't. Like, do you think Phil Knight sat around and he's like, when I get to $1 billion, like, I'm done? Like, no. We just want to build a great brand. All the other stuff will come by doing that.
Yeah.
If it's revenue or conversion or how many customers or pairs sold, like, that'll just continue to grow as we continue to build a great brand. Like, I really approach it that way. Some people are like, what are you going to do when you have hit $100 million?
Right.
I have no idea. I don't even think about it. It's distracting to think about it. Because, like, building the brand is hard.
Yeah.
Let's focus there.
Yeah.
All the other stuff will
Yeah.
work out.
Absolutely. And obviously you're talking about, you know, some hard choices along the way. What do you think are the biggest sacrifices that you've made to this
Oh,
point?
man. Well, one, I moved back to New York.
Okay.
I love
cold
you.
is-
I love you in New York, but, you know, you're not Venice. I have a very narrow life. I live a block from the office. We don't, you know, my girlfriend and I don't get to do a lot of like vacationing or like, you know, it's a 24/7 Groundhog Day type thing.
Sure.
Like, get up 6 a.m., fall down at 11:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at. Probably for another 2 years where I just don't have the time to do, like, have balance in my life, which sucks because my life before this was very balanced.
Sure.
I had a really idyllic kind of lifestyle. It was really nice. But startups demand that.
Yeah.
They're babies.
Yeah.
Like, you have a son, right? When he was like 6 months, it was one way. Now that he's 5, you're like a little bit, you know, hands off. You can do other things and
Little
find some
bit.
balance.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part. Like, focus, like the level of, I'm surprised at myself because I couldn't have done this 10 years ago. I just couldn't have. I was fucked up in my, not fucked up, like mental. I was just scattered. Like,
Yeah.
I was occupied with other things. So I needed to be at a place in my life where I could literally like laser down focus, and fortunately I grew into that, and we started Greats.
Yeah.
How has living in Brooklyn has that affected what you're listening to?
And music?
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
What are you
No.
playing?
What am I playing right now?
Yeah.
Sorry. Where's my
Yeah,
phone?
it's right there. I love everyone asks that question.
Because
Where's my phone?
I'm listening to this shit a lot. I just can't remember his name right now.
Thundercats.
Who?
I don't know.
Thundercat.
I'm just gonna throw out some random names.
Well, it's crazy because I just listened to Coldplay Parachutes
Uh-huh.
after not listening to it for 10
Yeah.
years.
Okay.
And just was like, that's a fucking good record. I don't care what kind of music
You
you
know,
like.
it is
That's
good.
a great. All right, so here's what I've been listening to a lot though. The new Miguel record,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, or
Yep.
Jeremiah, however you say it. Jamie XX.
Okay.
This is like heavy rotation. And Leon Bridges. You know
Yeah.
this guy?
Yeah. Dope.
Dude. This kid's talented.
Yeah.
So those are my like new.
Yeah, that's not super Brooklyn.
No, what's super Brooklyn?
know.
There's everything
Just
in
making
Brooklyn.
sure.
Yeah, I love Brooklyn. I when I was in New York for a week, I went out to Brooklyn, spent 2 days there. Oh, I was in love. I was like, I need to live here one day in my
It's
life,
great. It is a great.
or spend some
neighborhood.
more time there.
The I don't have the time to discover
No,
and
of
go
course.
see music.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's sad. Like this is Discovery. Those songs that all those bands that I just told you about.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them, but most of them. But I don't get to see music anymore, which
Mm.
sucks. Because when I lived here,
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't see music as often as I'd like to. I just think I'm lazy.
Yeah, you don't want to leave Venice.
No, and
there's
I'm
not
just
one venue in
tired.
Venice,
I'm
unless you
just
wanna
tired.
Go to
you're
break.
gonna go to the,
No, I'm just tired.
Townhouse
or
under
whatever.
the
No, I don't
sweaty
go.
underground
First of
and
all, I don't do any of that.
fucking drum circles and shit.
No, I literally don't do any of that. I go out to dinner and then go back to bed. I'm one of those now.
I ate at Jelena last night.
Oh, so
The
good.
first place I went back to.
I know, it's so good.
So good. All right, promote some shit.
Yeah,
How do
let's
we
get
find you online?
So, website, greats.com.
Okay.
Can't forget that.
Definitely not.
All
Easy.
of our social feeds are Greats Brand. Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook. What else?
It's good. Definitely subscribe. Check your morning wood.
Check your morning wood.
Good one.
Tell us on Instagram if you listen to this podcast. I'm going to give Josh some feedback.
Nice. Yeah.
Did
I'll
you
take it.
discover Greats through this podcast?
Okay, good. That'll be a good test for us. Yeah, what'd you guys think of that? Been a while since we've had somebody that was not a musician. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know I did. I'd love to hear what you think. If you want to hit us up on Twitter at Rebel Radio Net or leave us a comment on our SoundCloud or iTunes. Let me know if we should have more streetwear impresarios. That's right, I said impresario. What you know about that? Come back next week on Rebel Radio. Peace.